Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another fantastic edition of Good Morning BSN. And today we have two wonderful people to talk about action learning and AI similarities in organizational behavior. The Impact Center for Great Leadership is all about the four pillars of leadership. We talk about performance leadership, we talk about responsible leadership, we talk about decision-making leadership, and we talk about change leadership. And on this particular episode, we are also going to be talking about leadership as it relates to action learning and AI similarities in organizational behavior. And with us to discuss this particular topic are Dr. Mohamed Yacine and Mr. Abdulakeem. I guess from Abuja, right? Am I correct? Abdulakeem, I guess coming in from Abuja, right?
You are correct. You are correct.
Fantastic. And Mr. Dr. Yacine is joining us from, the United Kingdom. He's the CEO, Managing Director of Waxbill Technology Limited, and also the main representative, the executive representative of BSN, that's Business School of Netherlands in Algeria. Dr. Yacine, you're welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
Okay, over to you, Dr. Yacine.
Okay, good morning, everybody. It's always, of course, a pleasure to be here with the BSN community. Thank you for joining us today. The subject of today, of course, it will be action learning and AI. And of course, the spectrum of AI today is very wide. And I position myself more in the area where interactions occurs between human and AI, of course. And I will start by giving very brief idea about AI and how AI help us to learn and how human beings learn as well. And just to give you some similarities, then I will give you some concrete examples of very known organization, how they use AI. And as Yomi said, of course, today I will focus more on the decision-making leadership aspect than just trying to cover all the aspects of the leadership and, of course, AI. And then I will give you a reflection in a research that we have undertaken recently about AI, how AI can be used in order to, for example, to research some subject. And we had a chance to use AI, more specifically NLP, the natural language processing, in order to state whether the entrepreneurs are made or born. And which is interesting is that AI spontaneously pointed out the most important factor, which is, of course, decision making. And then, of course, we'll conclude with Abdulakeem with some reflections, and of course we'll take your questions. Okay, so let's start. So now the first slide is about how human beings learn and how AI is learning. And it is interesting, of course, when it comes to learning, we as a human being, we learn from experience and, of course, from other learners, from tutors, etc. And AI, the way AI learn is, of course, about models. So there is different models that are implemented, and AI will learn from those models, of course. And this is where we speak about training AI on those models. The second thing is, of course, how we interact. So there is, as learners, human being learners, of course, we need to interact with other learners, because when we interact with other learners, we get feedback. We also get corrections, or we try to make sure that all the concepts, the learnings that we are learning are really correct. And of course, it helps also to update our knowledge. The other side, when AI or machines learn, of course, they learn by functions. And I think each one of you already experimented some interactions with AI, for example, with ChatGPT. And when you, for example, make a request or write a prompt, you always need to to iterate and to say, no, it's not, this is what I'm looking for. I need to do this and that. So this is the kind of interaction in functions. So the AI needs really this this function in order to interact within functions, in order to say, okay, this is what I'm looking at, this is the information that I'm looking for, or this is decision that I am aiming to. The other thing which is very important as well, of course, is the learning material. How you, as human being, how we learn, we use learning material in addition to the interaction with other learners, tutors, and teachers, and other things. A human being, of course, we use learning materials. And today, of course, with digital era, it's the learning materials are very various. So you can, of course, use the course online. You can use videos. You can use games. You can use books, of course, and the spectrum of learning material is also very rich. On the other hand, how AI or machines learn. So we need to train them on data. This is why, for example, when we speak or you hear about for example, the generative AI like ChatGPT or DeepSeek, you will hear that we trained the AI to do this and that. And there is also interesting, today there is an evolution in terms of market as well. There are a lot of AI companies looking, for example, when it is related to train AI in specific subject, they will look to experts in order to train those AIs. And of course, there is validation after that. And we have auxiliary data, which means that it's a kind of data that say, okay, the information provided or the decision provided or whatever is, let's say, we can say that it's something acceptable and we can use it. But of course, this is a process which is, of course, continuous. So AI needs always to be trained, validation, and auxiliary data. On the other hand, as human being, we use learning materials. This is also an interesting point at the end. This is how we validate the learning, how we do it as human being. When we are, for example, student, or we deal with student as tutors or teachers, or as a training or higher education institutions, of course, you use tests, assessments in order to make sure that the learning or the knowledge which was aimed to be acquired is correct. And of course, in the more, let's say, practical point of view in organizations, we say that this knowledge is or this decision is a good one when it gives the aimed results, or when we reach our objective or targets, for example. On the other hand, the results are always related to the prediction. Did the model that we had at the end of the day, or the result that we have at the end of the day, is really related to the prediction that we had as human being? And there is also interesting subject today, which is related how AI hallucinates. So we have hallucination of AI today, which means that sometimes you will make an inquiry with the generative AI, for example, you will have a completely out of scope response or result. And this is where this prediction is very important, because this is what makes the result of the AI close to our objective or our request. So this is the first part, just to give you an overview about the AI. And then action learning. On the other hand, action learning is very important, because some of you, I think, we are our community of Business School Netherlands, we maybe are all more or less familiar with action learning. Action learning, what is really its purpose? Of course, it's real world problem solving. We really focus on challenges that really have an impact. They are urgent, important, and can give really quick wins to the organization or the individual or the team. Of course, it's reflective, as maybe some of you experimented it. So it is always reflective. So, and it is very important to mention that it's field data. The action learning, the difference between, let's say, traditional knowledge is that we really start from a real concrete fact-based situation in order to say that this is a problem and how we can do it. And of course, when we act at the end, as you see in the picture here, of course, when we act, we have also results, and it's also another fact. So it's always based on really field data. The other thing, it's collaborative learning. Of course, we do it on group, on teams, and of course, it's iterative. So we always improve when we reflect, plan, and act, we always have this process, and it is, of course, helps to improve the process, the learning, and the results. So why it is interesting to compare AI with action learning. This is, of course, both of them really, let's say, before going to the similarities, action learning is really focuses on problem solving, reflection, and action. This is very important, the last one. And AI learns from data. So, but the difference is that it's not mainly data, which is really, let's say, fresh data from the field. And it can be a data that with different, let's say, layers, different perspectives, and maybe different variations when we speak about data. So, for example, if we look to say, okay, what is the rate of success of student in BSN, we can have different report, or we can ask, for example, for the ranking of universities. You will have different sources, and AI will use really different sources. But when it comes to action learning, we will really use the source or the data that is really important and has meaning for the team or the organization. And the commonalities, or of course, the common thing between them, both really use iterative learning. So AI, it's always iterative. When you give the data, you have an auxiliary data, you say, okay, no, I need this and that, use this data in order to improve, blah, blah, blah. So it's really iterative. And of course, both are used to decision making. And this is why, this is where we really focus now on the decision making. So this is, as I said in my introduction, this is PwC, of course, most of you know this organization specialized in consultancy, and they recently published a model which is interesting, which relates to decision making. And as you see here, you have the two factors, the AI autonomy and the role complexity. So it really, of course, the decision-making process is coming crucial when we have to deal with complex situation or subjects. And this is why the AI here is giving really value. And as you see, for example, in the quadrant here, when it's AI as a decision maker, so of course, as maybe we had the offline discussion with Yomi, the future will be maybe that AI will have this complete autonomous in the way it will take decision making. But in the other hand, you see that, of course, it's always at this stage, it always had by human, means that the human will give the priority of decision that we need to take and the process. And I had the chance to discuss with some of the senior executives here in the UK in how they use AI in decision making. You will find some of them, for example, they will start from scratch saying that this is the situation, and they will ask the generative AI like ChatGPT or other models to say, what are the priority of decisions? And the other hand, other will say, no, I need 1, 2, 3. One is the most important decision I need to make, how I can make it, what are the data that I need to gather in order to make it, what are all the key partners or stakeholders that need to involve in order to take these decisions, and what are the impact, what are the different scenarios when we will take those decisions. So it really depends on, first, the degree of complexity of the decision of the subject, and the process in itself, how you position AI in your process of decision making, and this makes a huge difference. And this is also another model which is interesting from the MIT, and they really came to the point that, of course, we need always, in order to have this level of confidence with AI, we need really a human being to override for sensitive decisions. You see that when I said priority means that you will have a very important decision making to be taken. You really need to be involved as human being, not just to give full autonomy to the AI to take those decisions. And for example, if you have an event, you will just maybe ask about the best color of let's say the how you will make, for example, the table or I don't know, the decoration of the room. But when it comes to really sensitive business decision making, you really need to think twice in order to do it. And this is very interesting, especially for those who are joining us as students. There is a crucial point in terms, for example, of assessment, whether you use AI or not, what are the level of your use of AI. And today we have, there are some systems that are here to prevent fraud, for example, or plagiarism. Okay, we are coming to the conclusion. We have 2 more slides. This is another interesting model, which is, of course, related to Allianz Bernstein organization, how they use AI in investment, for example. You see that they gather data, extract insights, take action. Of course, they need to take action and monitor outcomes and provide feedback. And this is an interesting model because it really gives us an idea about how action learning is also used. And as you see, for example, there are a lot of similarities. And in action learning, of course, when we act, we monitor outcomes in order to see whether there is a problem or not. On the other hand, of course, when we do our action learning circles, we provide feedback. We get feedback from the people, how they understand, what are the opinions, how they were impacted from the situation or the decision. And at the same time, as we did an action, of course, we have an output, which is, of course, based on fact. And the other thing, of course, we extract insight. And the interesting thing here, as AI, we extract insight that related to the situation, the result, and at the same time, the learning, because in action learning, we always focus on the learning. And this is the similarities that we can find with AI. I will conclude with this example, also the concrete example. We have undertaken this research recently. We asked, for example, AI to from a pool of almost 50 most known successful entrepreneurs in the world, and said, okay, do you consider that entrepreneurs are made or born? And interesting that AI spontaneously picked 4 factors, and one of the most important factor with the most weight was decision making. And we found that the born entrepreneurs, they 20% successful, one of the 20% successful entrepreneurs in the world, they take decisions spontaneously, instinct driven. And 76%, it is based on data and really data driven decision making. And this is where, of course, we had 4 that hybrid case. But coming back to this slide, and I will conclude with this, the interesting thing with AI and action learning, when you use them in a combination, it really allows you to have this real data-driven decision-making, and at the same time, as in the model of MIT, integrate this human being factor, which is really important when it comes to sensitive decision-making. So as a conclusion, the structure of action learning really helps to, let's say, to really mitigate risks related to, let's say, what we call the hallucinations AI. So this is my conclusion for today. And thank you very much.
Thank you very, 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 very much, Dr. Mohamed Yacine. And that's Dr. Mohamed Yacine, the Executive Managing Director of AL Insight United Kingdom, and also the Executive Representative of Business School Netherlands in Algeria. Thank you so much. That was so thunderous. Let me just put it that way. An exciting rendition you just gave. I will invite Mr. Abdulakeem Olatubosun, the Managing Director of Wax Biotechnology based in the city of Abuja, to give us some reflection on what has just been said by Dr. Mohamed Yacine. Over to you, Mr. Abdulakeem Olatubosun.
Good morning,
You
everybody.
have 5 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you to Dr. Yacine for that wonderful presentation. And let me just make some observation. Like action learning is for creation of ideas or creative ideas to provide solutions to organizational problems. And one thing is that in AI too, we are doing something of that nature that it provides solution for you. And we know we are in the era of generative artificial intelligence. But now, the future of AI is agentic AI. But I'll go back to later. Let me just narrate a scenario for you. My company working with how to use AI in agricultural industry. And we partner with one Israeli client. So when we started the company now with to pluck apple on the trees, and at the end of the day, the apple will select the right one, the exact content of the apple they needed in those apple. So when we discussed with them, this company now said that we will produce, we will make tomato to people around Nigeria, especially. So now, anybody that you want to pin, which will make content in tomato. So before we can send those tomatoes to the market, what we do is that we pass through a system that we analyze the amount and the content of lycopene with the help of AI. So by the time we are doing sorting, instead of using human and machine sorting before, machine is totally doing everything for us to sort it in when it comes to sorting of the tomato. So it makes us to make a right decision, which are the quality tomato to send to the market and where they needed it most. For example, now we discovered in Lagos. Lagos is the most market that they needed high number of tomatoes in the especially the restaurants in Lagos. So the artificial intelligence has make it easy for us to able to make a very critical decision in the quality of the tomato, in the quality and the location where they need it most, and at the end of the day, the data we got from all different regions. Likewise as well, this agentic AI, the future of AI that they are still working on and they have not developed it totally is that what it does is that it will just study this, and at the end of the day, it will generate an advertisement at the end of the day with the content, and I will be able to produce it to the world, which are more quality than conventional way of doing advertisement. So the AI really assists in decision-making process, and it make it faster to do some things. So at the end of the day, by the help of AI, it will get a right result. But in case you do not create a right result, there's need for somebody to look at what went wrong. Is it at the point of the entry that the issue, or the programming or the machine learning of the AI was not correct? So that's what I want to say about the AI. And let me tell you an example that we normally do in MTN to that. MTN handle big data at that time. And what they normally do is that there's what we call foot traffic. And that foot traffic is being managed by hand before. But now they've developed a way that the queue management system can be managed. Instead of using it by manually, it can be managed by artificial intelligence and a system so that they know the priority, the customer they need to work more on, and the customer that they need urgent attention. Instead of unlike before that, everybody, they will just move them one by one. But this time around, the queue management system is calling them one by one, assigning role to person they should go and meet on the queue. So that's the problem. So the AI will assist in decision-making process. It will achieve in data analysis very well. And my greatest fear is that, like that of tomato I make mention, we normally use human being to sort, but now the machine has come in to take away the work of human being. Before, we normally need like 10 people for sorting of the tomato, but now we need only 2 people or 1 person to sort the tomato. So the future of organization is very bright with the help of the AI. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdulakeem Olatubosun. That was a very insightful stuff. Omolara, Akonji actually made a comment in the chat room. She said, this is a very progressive topic. AI has been very useful and effective to performance in processing and managing of trade, marketing of goods and services. Thanks for this presentation. Another comment from Igo Orieru says, action learning and AI both help teams solve big problems by asking smart questions, learning from mistakes, and improving over time. When organizations use both, they build smarter teams that think fast, adapt quickly, and create better solutions for the future. These are basically comments and they are not questions right now. While we are waiting for questions, let me ask my own question since there are no questions in the chat room.
There's a question on Q&A. There's a question on Q&A from Oluchi.
Where is it?
It's on Q&A. Okay, let me read that.
Okay, sir. I will appreciate that.
Oluchi Okori is asking for Mohamed and Olatubosun. Since we are talking about action learning and we are comparing the brain versus machine in decision making, what of the place of emotions that come into play or empathy when decisions are taken? We'd like to take that first, Mohamed, and then.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Larry, for the question. This is a very interesting question indeed. And I think that the place of emotion, we know that action learning is really is deeply connected to the question of emotion. Of course, being in face-to-face, small circles, the way the social architecture of action learning makes it really focusing on emotion. So, and even when we ask questions in action learning circles, we always say how personally you are impacted with this subject. And of course, action learning is really giving the chance, this safe environment when all the stakeholders or the team of the organization will, of course, share their emotions and emotions that may be associated to a past situation and also maybe fear for the new situation, new decision, or new action plan. From the other hand, today AI models, there is a progress on it. I will give you a concrete example. With Oxford Business College, we are doing also some research, and there was a very interesting idea. They used a marketing AI-based tool, which is used, for example, in trade marketing, in analyzing, for example, the eyes movement of consumers when they approach, for example, a shelf or when they are doing shopping, and each position of the eye, each let's say expression of the face will be associated to one or two emotions. And this is used today, for example, in learning in higher education, especially when students are doing those online courses, and it is also used in order, for example, to see the level of commitment, and for example, if the student are not emotionally ready, for example, for an exam or whatever. And of course, the applications can be used in organizations when it comes to meeting. Of course, this also let's say highlight the importance of ethics, of course, in these situations. But yeah, I think that action learning definitely completely takes into consideration the emotion aspect. But today AI is also trying to use some technology-based approach in order to like the biometrics and the expression of the face, in order to put, let's say, an emotion for each expression that AI can detect. But of course, this is the existing situation from my small knowledge. But of course, I think that still the best way in order to interact with people when it comes to emotions is really human to human.
Fantastic response. There is another question in the chat room from Gus Goris. I'm not sure whether I understand this question well, but let me just read it out. How does Dr. Mohamed Yacine see the power of questioning in in AL? I'm not sure whether it's AI or AL, but he wrote AL, that's action learning, in finding root causes in the undercurrents in organizations. How can AI ever play a role in that? Does it make a bit of sense?
I think so. So from my understanding, the question is how we use questions in action learning and how maybe AI can help to better find root cause. From my small experience and humble experience, we try to, with 10 years almost experience in action learning, we found that there are some very specific questions that really help to find root cause. I will give you an example. For example, when we ask questions, because action learning, traditional action learning, we ask questions, just reflective question, open questions, etc. And we found that when it comes to root cause, we use the Oscar model, which means we try to ask questions about the objective. What is the aim of the session? The second one, the S, is for support. We need to ask questions about what are the existing support levers, let's say gains, tools, support that we have today. The second one is what are the challenges that we have? And the other one is action, of course. What are the type of actions we need to take? And the last one is result. And this is where it is interesting. When we ask the question of result, we say, okay, you have this objective, you have these levers, you have these challenges, and this is the actions 1, 2, 3 that you want to take. What are the possible scenarios? And we try to get the best scenario, the mid scenario, and the worst scenario. And at the end, we try, okay, we have this picture of all these outputs, and we say, okay, what do you think caused really the problem? Why we want to go to this objective to solve XYZ problem? And this is how we use it in action learning. And AI can be used, for example, to widen the scope of the research. For example, some of maybe the challenges are there, but as human beings, we don't see them because we are too much focused on solving the problem, and we don't think out of the box. And the other thing is when it comes to the scenarios, AI can give you other scenarios that as human being we didn't think about. And of course, when we have this first picture improved by AI, we can find some connections with AI. And of course, AI, when we will, at the end of the day, we'll give it all these insights, these inputs. Of course, it will give you, it can give you a model of root cause, which is maybe put on very clean and a beautiful way.
Fantastic, fantastic. Let's just squeeze in one more question because of time and all that. This one is from Adewale Akinsanya, who says, can we say AI has 100% accuracy when AI can't really judge the truthfulness in some decisions made by some consumers? Because some decisions are based on influence and circumstances. What's your take on that?
I don't know if Abdulakeem wants to answer this question because it's the last one. Maybe have his contribution.
Let me just make some input. AI can never be 100% accurate. That's number one. Because, like for example, now when we are taking analysis of all those what's the name? The content of the tomato we are analyzing, we still find some tomato being selected without the real content at the end of the day. So the only thing is that you at the back, at the other hand too of the AI, you should be able to know that, look, this decision, how can I modify it to suit your own self? So it can never be, it's a woman, what I say, it's a machine, it can never be 100% efficient. So that's just it.
Thank you so much. Dr. Yacine, do you just want to add 60 seconds to that before we wrap up for today?
For the same question, you mean? Can
I
you
said, do you
repeat it?
add a 60 seconds comment to that before we wrap
Okay.
up for today?
Yeah, I think that starting from the last question and maybe to make a link with all what we have seen today. Yeah, I think that AI will today is not accurate, of course, at 100%. This is why my proposal was about incorporating action learning with AI, because action learning with this iterative process and real focus on human being, their situation, their emotions, will really add something valuable to the decision-making process. And this is very important, I think, today, because we really need to rely on data. But of course, at the end of the day, as from the research as well, I shared with you, there is always, we really always need to have this 20% or 10% instinctive human being based judgment. And I think this is, yeah, this is the maybe kind of conclusion.
Thank you so much. It has been wonderful time with Dr. Mohamed Yacine, right from the UK. He's the director of AL Insights UK and also an associate director of Business School Netherlands in Algeria. And also way in the northern part of Nigeria, we have Mr. Abdulakeem Olatubosun, who is the CEO, Managing Director of Wattsfield Technologies Limited, joining us to discuss action learning and AI similarities in organizational behavior. It has been a super duper ride, an exciting moment. Until we meet you again next week, Tuesday, join us on another exciting edition of Good Morning BSN. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.